Okay, so here's where we are. We're 11 days into this US-Iran conflict, and if you're looking at the financial markets for answers, well, they're telling you two completely different stories at the exact same time. It's this incredible clash between hope and a brand new, very harsh reality. So let's unpack what's really going on.
And this is the big puzzle we're trying to solve today. I mean, just yesterday, it felt like war was inevitable, and that fear sent oil prices rocketing to a 4-year high. Then, almost overnight, they just completely fell off a cliff. So what on earth happened?
And we're not talking a small dip here. We're talking a staggering 4% plunge in just one session. Now, in the oil markets, a move that big, that fast, something major has to be behind it. So let's get into what caused this massive reversal.
So what could cause a reversal that dramatic? Well, it turns out this entire market whiplash can be traced back to a single comment that sent shockwaves all the way from Washington through trading desks around the world.
And this was the trigger. The catalyst was a string of comments from President Trump, who started hinting that maybe this whole conflict might be close to wrapping up. He even suggested a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz could be in the works. Now, for a market that was bracing for a long, ugly conflict, this was just a massive, massive dose of optimism.
And the impact was immediate. Just think about this. Brent crude, which is a global benchmark, had touched nearly $120 a barrel on Monday. By Tuesday morning, it had pulled all the way back to around $94. That is a huge swing, and it was driven almost entirely by a change in mood. And this wasn't just about oil, you know? The good vibe spread. Asian stock markets, which had gotten absolutely hammered on Monday, staged this huge recovery. The MSCI Asia Pacific Index, which is a really broad measure of stocks in the region, basically erased all of the previous day's losses. Japan and South Korea, in particular, saw some big gains. But right when it seemed like everyone could breathe easy, a totally different message started coming out of Tehran. And this is the catch. While all these traders were reacting to Trump's optimistic talk, something really significant was happening in Iran, and it's something that completely complicates this whole story of de-escalation.
Iran named its new supreme leader, a man named Mojtaba Khamenei. And you have to understand the context here because it is critical. He isn't just some new appointee. He is the 56-year-old son of the previous supreme leader who was just killed in the opening days of this conflict. And maybe most importantly, he has incredibly deep ties to the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard, the very group that's been driving Iran's military strategy.
So you see the problem, right? You've got these two completely opposite signals hitting the market at the exact same time. On one hand, you have the US president talking about deals and the end of the war. On the other, the office of Iran's new hardline leader, whose father was just killed, remember, puts out a statement that flatly rules out any immediate ceasefire. This right here is the tug of war that's causing all this chaos.
So how in the world is the market supposed to process all this? Let's pull up the dashboard and see how different assets are trying to make sense of the mess. It is a really mixed picture. As we've seen, oil is coming down hard, pricing in that optimistic scenario from Trump. Gold, the classic safe haven, I'm scared asset, is also pulling back from its recent high. That suggests fear is fading, a little bit, at least for now. But then, you've got Bitcoin, which is telling a totally different story.
Yeah, Bitcoin has been a whole different animal through all of this. It's been remarkably steady, just kind of hovering near that $69,000 mark, almost unfazed by the day-to-day drama. It's almost like it's pricing in a resolution with way more confidence than the old-school assets are. It's a really fascinating dynamic to watch, for sure. So with all this noise and all these conflicting headlines, what should you actually be paying attention to? Well, if you want to cut through the chatter, here are the 3 real signals that are going to tell us where this is all truly headed. First up, look for real diplomacy. Forget the vague comments. An actual announcement of back-channel talks, maybe with a country like Qatar or Turkey helping out, would be a concrete sign that things are serious. Second, with the new supreme leader in Iran, you've got to watch what he does, not what he says. His military orders will tell you everything you need to know about his true intentions. And third, and this might be the clearest signal of all, just watch the ships. If oil tanker traffic in the Strait of Hormuz goes from its current low of under 30% of normal and starts climbing back up over 50%, that's a real-world, undeniable signal that the threat is actually easing.
So that leaves us right back where we started, with the ultimate question. In a market getting violently swung around by every single headline, what do you bet on? The hopeful words of a politician who's looking for a way out, or the history and background of a new hardline leader who has every personal and political reason to keep fighting? That is the billion-dollar question the market is trying to answer right now.